am muted. Can you guys hear me?
There we go. I was already having issues, and I'm like, I can't hear him at all. This could be a problem.
My mic and my headphones. Yeah, sorry about that. John is out tonight, so thank you, anyone who joined us. John is out tonight. He's unexpectedly under the weather, so I'm hitting buttons. I've already missed a couple, but we have a good night ahead, so we'll have a good time. Michael, or no, sorry, not Michael. Blake and Danny, good to have you. I'm trying to enable your little like name cards, and I'm reading off Michael's. But thanks for joining us, guys. How you guys doing?
Doing well.
Doing well.
Good. We've got let's see.
Danny's still awake, so I feel like that's a win. Congrats on the twins officially on screen. So, man, you look way too fresh to have newborn twins.
I have an amazing wife.
Yeah. It's awesome.
I'm honestly surprised too. So Michael, the other half of Penelope, just had a baby, right? What time was that at, Danny?
He had a baby like at 4:30 a.m. this morning.
Okay, so that also
he'll be joining us shortly, or
from the nursery at the hospital.
I expected him to like pop in on an iPhone and then have a nurse be like, "Put that away."
I wouldn't put it past him.
Sir, you can't drink in here. This is a delivery room.
Yeah, you mentioned that he was going to be out, and I texted John, and I was like, so "There's only a 97% chance that Michael will be there." But it's good to see him home, taking care of the kids. But tonight we have a fun segment. We are back for round 2 of the Penelope Blend Sesh, and there's been some changes as far. I think we'll talk about kind of the roadmap. But what's up with the blend program these days, Mr. Danny?
Oh man, which one? We're doing a couple of different things. We're doing this private select with you all. So same 3 mash bills that we used last time. We use the same MGP mash bills, the 21% rye, the 99% corn, and the 45% wheat in all of our blends to date at an MGP. And we like to just kind of show and see like everything we can do with them and blend them different ways. And it's interesting just to see the different profiles you get. So kind of like what we did day one when we started the company, we wanted to kind of do with people like you and experiment and see what we came up with. So tonight we have these barrels that we sent you all, and we picked them for certain reasons, and we thought that you guys could have fun with them, and we'll just blend them.
Definitely. That's awesome. I like it. We had a fun time last year. For anyone who missed it, we blended 3 casks, different proportions. We kind of left it there. This year we have some tricks up our sleeves. You guys, I think we've talked about 3 of them. I don't know if we've agreed on the final one, but what new barrel work are you guys doing over there?
So we took our base blends and we've been doing what we call our toasted series, where we're rebarreling our bourbon into new charred American oak casks, different chars, different toasts. It's been a big experiment for us. Just we're learning a hell of a lot on our own, but we wanted to do it with people like you too. But we were just experimenting different chars, like char 1, 2, 4, 5s, and then different toasts, heavy and mediums, just to give the bourbon like these different profiles and see what it does when we rebarrel. We're also finding that just the duration when you rebarrel and how long you leave it in there for varies greatly based on the blend that we put in. Sometimes it only needs 10 days. Sometimes it needs 60 days. I mean, it's just all over the place, and it's just fun to see what it does.
So is like 10 to 60 days kind of the standard interval then? Or is it like somewhere in that sliding scale, or just go as long as you need to?
It goes as long as you need to. They change so rapidly. I mean, day to day, they're changing, and sometimes you get anxious that you don't want to let it keep going. So we want to dump the barrel, but so it's kind of all over the place, and it's just a matter of kind of staying near the barrel, pulling samples regularly, and seeing where it's headed.
So of the mash bills, so we're tasting the same 3 mash bills as last year, right?
Yeah.
Same age, different age?
So some of them are older, some of them are actually younger. So It's kind of interesting. Like So the corn bourbon is 5 years. It's a little over 5 years old. The rye is just under 5 years. It's about a month under 5 years. And then kind of the random is the 45 wheat. We found these 45 wheat barrels as we were tasting through them. We're like, holy crap. Okay. Like something's going on here. Like this is really good. And we look at the age and it's 3 years old. So we were pleasantly surprised. So we put in a 3 or 45% wheat in there. And we just thought it made a really good, a good blending component. You know, it was the barrels that we used that we found for this project. They were just different. They were one-offs, and just thought it'd be fun to play around with it. So we used them.
Okay, very cool. I like it. One of the questions that came up when I announced this to our bourbon was like, "Oh, if the blend's gonna be the same as last year, like, what's the difference?" And I was like, "Well, I haven't told you about all the extra bells and whistles, but like different barrels, different blend." And I went back and looked at the recipe for last year and the blend that I came up with, and Kogan's come up with a blend. I see Blake doing some pouring back there. So we figured we'd maybe cut like an hour and 55 minutes out of this by like doing some blending ahead of time. Last year was like the Titanic in motion, and just like pure duration. But so Kogan, go ahead and tell me, what did you think about the samples and what are you thinking recipe wise?
I tasted through the samples and I liked what I found. I actually did 10 blends this time around to find something I liked. Yeah, I have a problem. Just ignore me. But my favorite blend I made was 50% of B, 40% of C, and 10% of A.
Oh, okay. I was like 40, 40, 50. That's wrong. But okay, interesting.
10, 50, 40.
So you were light on A.
Yeah.
You were a little bit heavier, or you were heaviest on B, and then a little bit heavier on C.
Yeah, I found another sample I liked that was 20A, 40B, and 40C. That worked well together, which is like my number 2.
Interesting. All right, so we have some preferences. What did you like best about B? That's your heaviest.
I just like the flavor in B the most. I think it has the biggest punch of flavor, and it's pretty well balanced. It had, I don't know, a lot of these spicy notes that I really liked, and it brought all the blends really well together with the other components.
Okay, interesting. I'm kind of with you. I liked B a lot. So if you had to guess on these 3, which do you think was the youngest one?
I'd guess A if you held me at gunpoint.
I figured I wasn't sure if you used the least amount of A because you thought it didn't work as well in the blend, or if you thought it was the youngest, or all that fun stuff. I would guess the same. I think my blend. Let's go ahead. I got to mix yours up really quick because I didn't do that.
I just finished mixing up yours.
Cool. This is the best thing I've ever bought, thanks to Blake.
Oh yeah.
The pipetter is just like so 10. Okay, I know how to do math.
That's the greatest invention I think I've ever seen, and but yet I left mine at the office, so I'm using the plastic ones again.
Oh, I love it. Yeah, for everyone watching at home, this is like an auto pipette that measures. Since I think I spilled like half of my samples last year in the blender.
That saved my life. I remember I DM'd you. I saw you using it on Instagram, and I'm like, hey, what?
Oh, did you get one?
Yeah. I'm like, where'd you get that? It was like life changing.
I feel like we need a endorsement at this point for the, the pipette.
I never thought that we'd seek sponsorships from the scientific instrument community.
The biggest reason we spilled so much last year is because we started drinking and then blending on stream.
Oh, that's right. Because we picked, like, we tasted them all separately, and then we all blended together. And when you drink for 3 hours straight,
I got a little toasted on that stream.
Yeah, it turns out that the alcohol does have an effect. Oh, this is interesting.
So, Jay, we did talk about, and on the call the other week, we talked about a lot of different options, what to do here.
Yeah.
So I will also throw out a blend out there. I'll put it in the chat as well. But I don't want to say I stole from a playbook of another Penelope blend, but I really loved B. I thought B was kind of the standout in my mind. So I actually went with 80% B, 15% C, and 5% A. I thought about leaving A out altogether, but then I think y'all did that last year as well. So I'm like, well, I won't. Yeah, go back to the point of like, will the blend change? So I do think A lends a little bit. So, but I'll put that in here, and then I'll let you figure out like what you want to do for if it's 5 milliliters or 10 milliliters. So.
Oh yeah, I'll mix those. I just mixed the one that Kogan gave me. I definitely agree on B. I think I like C because I have C the most at basically.
I really liked C too.
It was just oakier, which felt weird to go for me, but I agree that like B has a ton going on with it. Kogan's, yours is nice. This one's really spicy, but you're kind of like balanced on B and C.
C definitely had a lot of oak influence.
I was really dumb. I got all this stuff and I only brought one glass, so I have to like mix on the fly. But yeah, that's nice. That's really spicy. That's got some heft to it. I think you guys both, definitely favored B more than I did. But like B was still a very large component.
Yeah, I'm trying yours that you suggested, and I'm really enjoying it. I think the C brings this nice butteriness to it.
Yeah, definitely. This is like spraying water. All right, let me whip up Blake's here real quick. Oh shoot, how am I gonna? Okay, no, we're good.
You have the technology.
I know that's the problem. I was like, how can I get hung up on this? I'm literally okay. We've got it now.
You're short your producer tonight.
I know. I felt. I don't. Yeah, I guess. Yeah, he hit me before. He's like, "You'll be fine," and I was like, "I haven't produced in so long." And the last time I did it, I forgot to turn on my microphone in the beginning, and like that can't happen. And then clearly it did. But
I was digging like the waiting room with the music and the images. I was like, wow, we really stepped up our game here, huh?
John and I got a little bored over the winter, and then just kind of went all out.
You're making Blake's blend now.
Felt like I was going into a fight night or something.
That's all, John. The music gets like more amped all the time. All right, I got Blake's made up here. What do you think, Kogan?
Of yours or Blake's?
Yes.
Yours is brings more of that buttery popcornness that I get from C, and Blake's is all oak and spice.
Mm-hmm. What do you think, Blake?
So I'm on to B now. I completely agree on the J's with the butteriness, the popcorn. B's really well balanced. Man, it kind of hits all the high points, which is really interesting. And then, I won't critique my own because I'm a little biased on that.
It's hard to critique perfection, but
yeah, to me, I don't know. I still get a ton of like a little bit of those toasted caramel notes on my own, but like some dried cherries and stuff that I like, and I think a lot of that spice and oak comes on the finish, which on the nose I think it is a little sweeter and just a little rounded, which I do like. But man, all in all, it's kind of they're all really good blends. I'm not gonna lie. I feel like usually we can at least have one that's like, I don't know if I love this one as much, but they all kind of bring something different.
I think it was easier this time. It was kind of like riding a bicycle a little bit more, like at least the preparation for it. Like I want to try this, I want to try that, and after Pinhook, we learned about like different ways different people blend. Yeah. But after tasting yours too, I think that using more B is definitely the right choice. I actually think your guys' both outshine mine. It's just that B thing, but. Which is weird because I don't usually like more oak, but I think B has more oak to it.
I wasn't completely sure how to base my blends for final judgment, whether I should take into the fact that we're going to be finishing them for a time into the flavor profile or not.
That's a great segue, since we haven't actually introduced it yet. But for people watching at home, before we kind of dive in and hone in on a final blend, this batch, unlike last year's batch, which was just the blend bottled released, we're going to split this batch into 4 parts. We'll take 1/4 of that. I'm going to leave it just as a blend. I think we're going to take 1/4 of it and toast it. We'll take the other 1/4 and we'll finish on French oak. And then the final one, can I tell them what it is, Danny? Did we agree on that?
I don't remember the 4th one.
There's that sleep
I'm on the edge of my
deprivation.
seat right
Yeah.
I just typed it to you since we have modern technology.
now. Oh, those are in the works. Yeah, I got those.
Excellent. So we're going to do a Tokai Hungarian dessert wine finish, which is super fun because no one's ever really done this before. At least maybe I'm just new to this, but Blake or Danny, let me know if you've seen someone do a project like this before. But
Never.
walking people through the blend to different finishes and letting them decide what they like and don't like, I think is pretty new.
Yeah, I've only seen a couple Tokai barrels used in general. I know Starlight's used them, but that's pretty much brand new within the last like 12 months or so. I feel like, at least in the bourbon world. I think maybe Barrel had some in that special private select they did, but I don't think that was bourbon finished, if I remember correctly.
No, you're dead on.
I could only get a couple.
Was Tale of Cake that finish, or was it something else?
Yeah, Tale of Cake by Glenn Morangi was a Tokai finish.
Okay, that's the only place I could remember it.
Okay. Yeah, Scotland's a little closer to Hungary, thankfully. Now, Penelope, you guys use Speyside, right?
We did. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, so I think that's the connection between a lot of these places. But Tokai's pretty new. We've had the Starlight plot twist. We have some of that coming for our bourbon later. That's one that we took. The Tokai, I think, is really interesting. So I think it's really cool that we'll get to tinker with it as well. Especially, toasting is hot now. French oak has always been big. Tokai. I think all we're really missing is like a maple syrup barrel or something. Like play bourbon bingo in 2021.
There may be a bottle back there that brings all those elements in. Yeah.
Oh, that's right. That was a layup, an unintentional layup.
Oh, that was unintentional. Yeah,
that's great. I was thinking like honey cast, but I don't want the Belmead fanboys to like come burn my ounce down. So I pivoted.
Yeah, we filled some honey casts this week. We filled them with honey, not the bourbon part yet, but we partnered with a farm near us to kind of harvest the barrels for us, so that we don't have to deal with like the dripping honey and all that stuff.
That's probably good. Are you seeing a lot more of this kind of boomerang process where the barrel maker gives it to the producer and then you give it to a third party and then the barrel comes back for finishing? Is that happening a lot more these days?
I mean, this is the first time we thought of it, just from a logistics standpoint, not having it in our facility, like leaking all over the place. So.
That's a good reason. Yeah, I guess I've seen like barrel aged maple syrup for a long time, but I'm seeing like a lot of honey now, coffee, cigars, like, everyone's putting everything in barrels and then sending it back, it feels like.
Well, yeah, we were also like, what are we going to do with,
that much honey?
150 gallons of honey. So that we were like, well, we don't want to just throw it out. And you're like, and we're not in the honey business. So, kind of partnering with this local farm allowed us to be able to use the honey. They'll sell it in their store. They're also very excited because if we do larger productions, they want to harvest and cultivate like a community of bee farmers to make honey for this.
Oh, that's interesting. So like bee farmers, like more bees or more farmers, or yes?
Both.
Okay.
All the above.
I was wondering if if they're going to use the barrels for more than honey and stuff. That's pretty cool.
Well, they want to stimulate urban bee farmers, which is something I never heard of, but like rooftop bee farmers that people have like you have a generative product that you can sell, and if you have enough of them, then you can create enough product to put into some sort of market.
Interesting. Okay, that makes a lot of sense.
Back to bourbon.
But it took me a minute. I was like, wait, if you get more farmers, do you just end up with more bees? And then I was like, I should have thought this and then said it later. But no, that's pretty cool.
Bees, do we have more honey?
The honey, it multiplies. That was my only.
This honey project turned into a bigger, I was like, well, can I just get the barrel back?
Yeah. I always wondered, when the start of that relationship, if someone was like, I have a barrel and I would like to put your product in the barrel. And the person's like, but why?
Yeah.
That's exactly
just
how
send it to me when you're done.
Phone call went.
Yeah. And then the person's like, and then I'll give you the barrel after, because brewers have been doing it a while, but,
right.
I wonder, I just picture 10 people sitting in a boardroom and they got to leave as they come up with a barrel aged idea. And someone's like, coffee. And they're like, all right, you're excused, It's the guys like, all right, go home, but it's pervasive, but it's cool. I think it's fun stuff.
But taking your blend and putting it across these 4 different avenues is going to be interesting. I personally haven't, we've done variations of our blends, but we've, blended to specific projects. But taking that blend and putting it across these 4 projects and then having them sit next to each other is going to be interesting.
Yeah, I think that it'll, people like to compare finishes and stuff, but this is the only way that people can remove as many variables as possible. There's still some variables there, but before you have to get different whiskeys from different producers or different finishes and try and line them all up and see what influence they have. So it's fun to play in the Skunk Works.
Quick question. We don't know the mash bills on A, B, and C yet, correct?
No. Do you want to reveal those, Danny?
Yeah, sure.
I have a guess. Is B the 99% corn?
Oh, you want me to tell you?
No, I don't know. That's where are we at in the show? But I get a ton of that. Just, I thought it may have been A, but I think A is just a little bit younger. But I think it's B because I get a lot of corniness and just that buttery corn on the cob note.
I was thinking A was the wheat, B was the corn, and C was the rye. But I
would second that guess.
I nailed it last year, so I'm going to go over 3 now.
That's what I was going to say. Jay, you were pretty spot on last year.
I think I'd flip B and C in your guess, and that would be my guess. A is wheat, B is rye, C is corn.
You're all wrong.
Whoa!
Really? What? A is corn?
So that's why we picked these. That's why we picked these barrels for y'all, because it was just a little different. We weren't getting the traditional notes across from these. So A is the rye, B is the wheat, and C is the corn.
Wow.
I
so
feel
B
like
is
an
the
idiot.
45% wheat?
So B is the 3-year 45% wheat, which is
what? Sorry, I didn't need to yell there.
No, exactly.
That was the reaction they wanted. That was perfect.
It's funny because Kogan and I were talking before. We're like, that A, really young, but the other 2, real nice. That hurts.
Blend it out.
A is a couple of days away from 5-year, and then C is a couple months over 5 years. So.
And what's C again?
C is the 99 corn.
Wow.
But
Okay.
you don't get that traditional.
I'm just amazed because I liked C the best on its own, but I thought B contributed so much more to the blend, which it does, to be fair. But I did not expect a 3-year anything to contribute quite that way.
Right.
No, that is an incredible 3-year-old whiskey.
Holy cow!
Yeah.
That's really nice.
Part of me was like, well, what the hell does this thing taste like a 6-year?
Yeah, the old conundrum. Do you keep it? What? Can you tell us what the oldest whiskey you have is? You got some getting up there, right?
Yeah, we're in the 5s now, which is
cool.
as Mike would say, it's like ancient Rome to us.
That's crazy. I'm still kind of speechless. That's crazy.
Well, it doesn't like the wheats. The wheats usually have like this earthy tone to them, and this is just like creamy and
yeah, soup like it's like vanilla frosting almost. Like, and that's what I thought for sure. Like would be the heavy corn. I can kind of wrap my head around like, okay, A's spicy, and that's what we were confusing for being youthfulness, but B and C is kind of blowing my mind right now.
so Mike and I always talk about this, but like, does not knowing the mash bills, does it help? Like,
oh yeah,
because
I think so.
Sometimes when we're blending, you know, if we know them, if we know what mash bills they are, that it like, you know, has some sort of you know, mental effect on us where we like subconsciously are, you know, saying that that's going to be, you know, this before we like just let it speak for itself.
I mean, and not knowing that was 3 years. Like I was ready to believe that was the oldest in the bunch. Like, you know, B and C very similar in age, but B older, and A like super young. But
yeah,
that was.
Totally I think you know, I always say that like this is a perfect example of like, you know, kind of what we're constantly looking for is just like these spectacular batches, you know. And this wasn't a single barrel. This wheat, it was like there were other barrels in this batch that were similar quality. So
well, that's a good
sometimes batch. It's not sometimes it's not single barrels, as you know. It's like, you know, you get single batches that are just delicious.
Here's the funny thing is, and now I'm like, wow, did I really just make 80% of my blend the 3-year-old in the group? But I still go back and I really like my blend, so I feel okay about that.
I mean, both of you guys favored B, you know, as the majority, and I think that's worth speaking to enough. Like, I'd rather it taste better than taste older. Or now that we know, you know, it tasted old enough, but now we know.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm kind of, I don't know. I'm bouncing around. Are there favorites so far? This is the tough part about 3. I feel like you almost need that fourth person, so you know, nobody's getting singled out and like nobody's getting kicked off the island first.
I mean, I'll surrender my blend. I thought it was good, but after trying your guys's, it's not that good. So.
I'm leaning towards that, if I'm being honest. And it's probably just because Kogan's blend is very similar to mine, so you know I'm preferential there. But yeah, I don't know. I'm kind of caught between the two.
This is my revenge for last time. Off of the island with you.
That's right. We did boot you, if I remember right. All right, I'm trying Kogan's one more time, but I think still fast. Fine. Yeah, I'm amazed at how much like dessert and character that has. Sorry, go ahead, Danny.
I was gonna say that you know, just kind of breaking it down to the nose and everything. You know, what are you thinking there? I think they're actually.
So I would actually go with the fact that I think my blend already kind of noses like it is toasted already. I think the Tokai finish would be really interesting on it, but I think Kogan's blend would be incredible in a toasted. So what's the third?
French oak, toasted, and Tokai.
Mm.
And yeah, that's
French oak is charred or new French oak, Danny?
New French oak.
Okay. Which in that stuff, French oak is so, I don't know if it's porous or what, but I mean, it imparts flavor extremely fast. So it'd be really interesting to see how that, you know, I have no clue how Tokai interacts with whiskey.
I think it's probably best. I don't know if you've had anything in like Sauternes or whatever. I mean, not quite apples to oranges or apples to apples, but
I've done an ice wine finish before on a private barrel. But I know it's that high sugar content, not exactly the same, but it definitely goes fast as well, I feel like.
Oh, yeah. I think you made a good point about like picking the best one to get these finishes too, and I agree. I like yours, but it's already got that nice dessert that I think that both the toast and the tokai will give.
Yeah, I think that gets a little bit too much. Where I never want to act like I don't have the best thing. The competitiveness in me comes up, but I think Kogan's has a little bit more spice and a little bit more bite that I think will blend well with the finishes. If we said, hey, we're doing 100%, I'd probably fight a little bit harder, but I think my blend could get a little overpowered with especially the toasted and the tokai. But that's just me. So,
well, Kogan, unless you'd like to,
I'll let others fight my battle on. You say nice things about me now. No.
I mean, I can't pick or critique my own blend. If I was picking between yours and Jay's, I'd choose yours because I slightly preferred it. Yeah. Not saying that Jay's blend was bad at all.
I'm just glad we all agree that Jay's kind of sucked tonight. I don't know.
can't show up to play ball every day.
No.
But no, I think that'll be great. So I think Kogan, walk us through your blend one more time I'm gonna
reblend a full version of this while you.
It is 10% of A, 50% of B, and 40% of C.
Rock on. I'm still amazed that it's majority 3-year wheat.
I was thoroughly convinced that the B was a 4-year high rye.
Okay.
Don't you love it when we know our whiskey so well? We're like, oh yeah.
That's why it's humbling every time I do a blind. Oh wait, I know nothing.
Yeah. Yep. That is true.
It's great. Yeah, I mean that's kind of like what we were surprised about when we went through these, and we're just like, this is gonna be this is fun, Let's send this out.
That's great. I mean, I'm super thrilled. I'm glad we did it blind. I would have been disappointed, if we picked older stuff that didn't taste as good. I think this is perfect.
Yeah, that is the interesting part. Is I think we're all definitely like we know enough to realize how much we don't know, just with us talking about the blends. But think about how different the blend probably would have ended up being had we known the ages and the mash bills. I would have gone a whole different direction and probably wouldn't have even played around with, the 3-year-old 45% wheat bourbon being the majority of my blend.
Absolutely.
So that's always the fun part to me. All right, so that's my A.
This is really nice.
I mean, the next thing is like, like what toast and char is this going to go well in?
Oh God.
Hold on. So is that up for debate as well?
Oh yeah.
I didn't know we had those knobs to turn.
I mean, you could say dealer's choice.
Yeah.
So we're gonna release 64 1/8 case. No, but I don't know how we'll determine that. That's actually a really good question. I don't know if there's a recommendation or
what would you what's our options, I guess? So on the toast and char, I know y'all do like char number 1 with a medium toast or toasted heads, char barrels. So like what's kind of out there that y'all are seeing that you really like?
Yeah, we're gonna char 1 heavy, char 2 medium or heavy, char 3 heavy, char 5 medium. That's what we have to work with here. And those are the chars that we kind of found work well with these mash bills. Listen, the char 5s those seem to be a little bit of a shorter finish because that char just kind of imparts like a really big initial burst of this like spicy kind of campfireness going on. The lower chars with the higher toast, they require a longer finish. Like out of the gate, you'll be like, ooh, this is like something's going on. It's a little unbalanced or whatever. But then we're finding that they'll start coming around after, weeks, a couple of weeks. And then you'll start, that toast starts imparting its thing on the bourbon. You'll get, a lot of these like creamy vanilla notes, marshmallow. And again, the chars are more like that tobacco kind of heavy, kind of, somebody in like a velvet chair smoking a pipe kind of thing. That's
the one we want. We want that velvet chair. We want a pipe.
Only if it comes with like a night robe. Like a night robe. Okay, that's interesting. How long, not to like totally shift the stage any, how long do you typically find you like to put stuff in French oak?
I don't know. Let's find out.
I was thinking like, if the preferred is like 5 months in French oak and there's only one of those, let's match the char and toast. But maybe we'll take this offline and go through a bunch of different options. And
the French oak, like I've done bench trials with some oak, some French oak. Our rosé cast finish is in the French oak, but it's in parts of wine. It's not a new French oak. So I don't know. I really don't know.
Okay. Well, it sounds like we'll have some fun in the Skunk Works with this one. If I don't know, what have you discovered with toasting, Blake?
So toasted French oak, it's pretty crazy. Like the little bit I have worked with it. I mean, I've never seen something where you dump whiskey into it and you could pull a sample 30 minutes later and it's like, oh, wow, how long has this been finished for? Like it is, I mean, we were dumping barrels into some new toasted French oak and you could just smell it as it was going in. Just that
really?
French oak is very potent. So I don't think you want to go a long time. I mean, the advice I got from the guys at Foregate and a few other places was don't go over 4 weeks if it is new French oak. So, I think that's just it. I think, the more I drink Kogan's, the more excited I am to taste it in some of those finishes as well, because it's really good here, but I feel like they balance really well with French oak. And so, yeah, I mean, I like to experiment, but there's a lot of char options. So the char would be just on that second barrel, or I guess how do we want to stagger it? Is it like, hey, let's go 25% right out the gate, and then take the other quarters and put them in their barrels immediately, or will we kind of spread this out throughout?
To be honest, I hadn't. I was thinking like, oh, it'd be nice if they were all done at the same time, but it'd also be nice to stagger them so like you could actually get familiar with one, have the next one to try instead of just be like, here's 3 liters of whiskey, like go crazy.
Well, I mean, honestly, if we're putting it into, a quarter, you could do it where if you're going to come out of the French oak really, really quickly, there'd still be time for the Tokai. There'd be time for, whatever we decide that other barrel or y'all decide that other barrel is. So I think there would be a way to stagger it. I just don't know if that's like a nightmare for Danny. So
Mike has sent me through the gauntlet many times.
So I have to tell this story. And most people watching this will know Mike, and he is just all, full force, always on, ready to go. He called me one night. He's like, so what I'm thinking, we've got this bottled, but man, some of these toasted barrels, they'd just be fantastic. And I'm like, well, what do you mean? Like, he's like, I don't know. Like, what if we just rip all the bottles open and dump them back into a barrel? And then, and I'm like, I feel Danny getting hot inside during this conversation that he's not even a part of. So like, we're good. We'll save that for another round. I'm like, I can only imagine, Danny and Jason in the warehouse ripping bottles open, dumping them back into a tank to put them in.
Oh, that's amazing.
Full force, ready to go for anything that sounds exciting and good.
I mean, he's honestly our biggest critic, like.
I will admit though, this is definitely the calmest I've ever seen you. You're just like, okay, like Mike's not like, oh, we should size this up 70 times, and you're like, oh god. But yeah, that's a good point. Well, I mean, in that case, French oak is really aggressive. Toast, you mentioned 6 to 8 weeks, maybe.
Yeah, we're super flexible on our side with you guys. Like,
okay,
if it's ready, we'll keep pulling samples. If something's ready, we'll dump it. We'll get it in a bottle. Like, we don't have to label it and release it yet, But the most important thing is just making sure we pull it when it's ready,
Yeah.
I figured that these 4 things, the stars would not align, and they would all be on like their own trajectories.
I think that works out nicely.
And Newark is a short flight away from me.
If you make your flight.
So I've heard. I don't know if I've told that story in public either, but I was actually supposed to go visit Penelope. This was about a month or so ago. And I don't know, like, it was like people were coming out of COVID and I've been flying. And I always cut flights tight, kind of like, our video calls. And I show up, like, there's no parking. There's actually people in TSA pre-check. I get to my gate finally, and gate's closed. And so I go to the gate next to her. I'm like, hey, can you ask them to open it? Like, I see the plane still there. She's like, yeah, no problem. She calls down. She goes, it's folding back up. I had to text Danny and Mike. I'm like, hey, guys, sorry. I'm an idiot, and I missed my flight this morning. So,
oh, man.
Not for anything else other than I just, like to live on the edge, but so I'll make it up there eventually. Maybe this is a good opportunity. So
yeah, we're still holding those barrels.
Mike told me they were gone. He was like, we got a whole new set in.
I'm like, those are Blake's barrels. Don't touch them.
Well, in that case, I would have come yesterday then. I thought they were long gone.
Oh, that's funny. Yeah. I wonder too, because you told me a couple times, like, I'm going up to Penelope, and I was like, oh, I didn't hear much about that. And I was like, he's busy.
Yeah. I didn't hear much about it because I didn't want to admit that I'm an idiot and try to cut flights 20 minutes ahead of time. But
Mike and I missed a flight one time out of Louisville, and we were literally sitting in 2 seats next to like the door to the whatever apartment. What do they call it?
The gate.
The gate. Yeah. And we were just like on our phones doing email or whatever. And we look up and everybody's gone, the door's closed, and there's nobody even like. We're like, are you kidding me?
That's pretty impressive.
Yeah, that is.
So Mike runs to the window and he's waving to the pilot.
Let us in. And like, I'll give you a bottle of Penelope.
just oh my god, like not causing a scene, but kind of causing a scene.
He's got the energy for it.
One of the ground crews saw the commotion and like came up and helped us out, and they opened the gate back up.
That's hilarious.
I thought they were notorious for never opening the gate back up.
It's the only time I've ever seen this happen.
Unless your name is Mike.
We get on a flight and the flight attendant goes, the pilots are not happy with you guys.
Okay, well, we're on the flight now, so there's not much they can do about it.
Oh my god.
Oh, that's crazy. Well, I'm glad at least some of you can make flights. Like you'll get the next one, I'm sure.
I'll find the next one. Yeah.
Cool. Well, this is probably a good time to wrap on up. Thank you guys so much. We'll we're gonna do Kogan's blend, the 10% A, 50% B, 40% C. Maybe we'll catch up after this via email and kind of get our ducks in a row. But the future's bright. We've got a lot of fun stuff coming. French oak, toasted barrel, Tokai. So yeah, I'm pretty jazzed about it. Where can people find you, Blake?
Yeah, find me at bourboner.com and seelbachs.com. So always thank you for having me. Always fun to work with the Our Bourbon crowd and Weekly Whiskey crowd. So it's been a lot of fun. And Danny, thanks for joining us tonight. I really appreciate it.
Yeah, it's been fun to have you. And Kogan, I realized I never said this, but people can find you on Reddit, and you are, I'm assuming you want to give up your identity. But...
Yeah, I mean, it's I don't really hide it very much. It's Lifephone Accountant on Reddit and The Auditor on Instagram.
Beautiful. Well, the pit crew is the same as last year. I'm super looking forward to this one, guys. Danny, thanks as always for giving us weird, wonderful, wild things blind. Because it made my night. I did not expect that to be as young as it was.
Mm-hmm.
That's awesome. Thanks, guys. We're excited for this project. We love this.
Awesome. Well, thank you again, everyone. Thanks for joining us. If you're looking for more, we'll be back on Thursday with After Hours, and we'll catch up in the green room, guys. So cheers. See ya.